You're listening to AFN The Eagle. I'm Specialist Derek Ramey, and we have two guests in the studio today. Who's sitting over here?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lieutenant General Jan-Marc Jouas. I'm the Deputy Commander for U.S. Forces Korea and the Commander of 7th Air Force.
And I am Chief Master Sergeant Shalina Fry, 7th Air Force Command Chief.
Awesome. So this is a good privilege. Definitely everything we're going to be saying is for airmen out there and Army. You know, everyone could be listening in, but airmen, pay close attention to what's going on. And we've got three main themes that we're talking about today. We're talking about readiness, safety, and exercises here on the peninsula. So readiness, what is readiness? If I'm a soldier, I'm an airman who just showed up, what are we talking about?
Well, I don't think it matters if you're a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine. Readiness is General Scott Peratti's number one priority.
Right.
And I think if you talk to any commander here on a peninsula, readiness is their priority. You know, we're facing an adversary that can attack us with very little notice, and we have to be prepared. When we say, hey, we got to be ready to fight tonight, we really mean it.
Right. So what's different here than when we're always being ready in the military? We're always ready. We're trying to train our body and everything. What makes it so different here on the peninsula that soldiers really need to get within that first 30 days when they get here?
Well, a couple of things. One is we're not waiting to go anywhere. We're forward-based. A lot of other places back in the States, you train a lot, but you got to be ready to deploy. You got to be ready to fight, too. Here, we're where we need to be. And for the airmen out there, we're going to fight from where we live, from Osan and Kunsan. That's not just our home. That's where we're going to fight from. So when you combine that with an adversary that has a lot of asymmetric capabilities, and by that I mean they can attack us with very little notice, that's where that readiness is so important.
Right. So what encompasses that readiness for people when they first get here in those 30 days? What are they going to see? What are they going to do?
We've broken it down in a couple of different areas, and one of them is to know our adversary. So there'll be some classified portions of this, and we go into a lot of detail of the capabilities that North Korea has and how they can attack us with very little warning. And then a little about know your enemy and know yourself. We want to ensure that they are personally ready, resilient, and prepared to take on that fight if necessary. And that's what that focus is for the first 30 days, to give them the best possible beginning to what is, for almost everybody, a one-year assignment here.
And it's important for airmen to know their role in this mission and in the fight, because they come to us from different bases around the U.S. or maybe even overseas.
Right.
And so when you come to the pen, you have to have the PACAF mindset. What is my role? What is being asked of me? And am I ready? Do I have the right equipment? Am I trained properly? Am I upgraded in what I need to know to make this mission, especially for the Air Force, fly, fight, and win? And I need to have that mindset every day.
Exactly, and the Chief's exactly right. One of those areas we're going to talk about is our operational plan and where everybody fits into that, because everyone is important to this team that we have.
And with readiness, I mean, you're really stressing those first 30 days because it's so important here on the pen. We always say that, fight tonight, and to get into that mindset right when you get off the plane rather than easing into it or anything like that. So there are some restrictions there's in place for soldiers who just arrive and airmen who just arrive. What are some of those?
Well, I think the one everyone's focused on, and if you will, the elephant in the room is the first 30 days where there's no purchase or consumption of alcohol. And people are going, well, what's up with that? Well, the fact is we want everyone to absolutely focus on that indoctrination program, on this orientation program, and to get the best start possible and not be distracted by some of the things that happen outside the gate, as we're all very well aware of.
Right.
And that will make them better prepared for the following 11 months to handle the stresses, the exercises, and those things that we do in order to maintain our readiness and to have a more successful year here.
Right.
And so we talked about know your adversary and know yourself. And so when you get off the plane, if you've never been here before, you don't even know the community in which you're here to support, let alone the adversary. So it's important that we stress to you, here's where you are. Here's what being in Korea is about. Here's the culture of Korea, and then here's how we're here to assist in their day-to-day and, being able to fight tonight, because fight tonight may happen the day you get off the airplane, and you just have to be ready for that.
No, that is really important, and it's great when the command and leadership really put themselves out there to help soldiers out, to help airmen out, just to be there for those questions and to give out that information. Because I know when I arrived, I really didn't know anything about Korea. And yeah, the fight tonight, I heard fight tonight, didn't know what it was about, didn't know what was going on. So yeah, that is really important. What are other aspects of readiness? What are all of them kind of encompassed? There's health, there's being prepared just in discipline and ready. What all is there?
Absolutely. Well, as we mentioned, we'll have some classified briefings, talk about the threat. We'll talk about the plan and where everybody fits in. And that's really about knowing the adversary, knowing the threat.
Right.
And then knowing yourself. We're going to talk, we talk a lot across here about sexual assault, about alcohol awareness. And we want to take that from the much larger picture to the very specific picture of here's where the threat is right outside the gate. This is what can happen to you. And we'll use specific examples of people that have not had successful assignments to Korea and how they can avoid that. And so I think that we'll make it very real for them. Part of that will also be feedback sessions with their supervisors using the new Airman Comprehensive Assessment program that we have. And for the youngest airmen, we will discuss their goals, both on our enlisted and officer side. Chief, you can probably hit that one.
And so we have a lot of brand new airmen that come to the peninsula. They're new to the Air Force and new to this mission and new to this concept of Fight Tonight. And so there's a lot of introductions going on and to better prepare people to be able to for the Air Force, again, fly, fight, and win. We have to meet that main objective. What is that objective? Well, that's what we're going to show you. That's what we're going to tell you. And how do you fit in? Well, that's what we're going to show you.
Right.
And that's what we're going to tell you. So the big piece of this, though, is the distraction piece. We want you focused on you as an airman. We want you focused on you as an airman and the mission. We want you focused on you as an airman and the mission of fighting tonight.
Yeah, this is not like a restriction. It's a punishment or anything like that.
It really
absolutely
is not.
Absolutely not. There's, there's people that have tried to put the focus on just one piece of this program, but you got to remember what it's called. It's about readiness,
right?
And that's truly the focus, and where we want to get our airmen ready as early as possible to do what it is that they're here to do.
So what advice would you give to new airmen that are coming in, that are going through this 30-day crash course, getting ready to be on the peninsula? What advice would you give for them?
Well, I'd say, hey, you're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
And they know that as soon as they step off the airplane here. We are guests in a foreign country. We have to comport ourselves that way. But more importantly, we have another country to the north here that has been very aggressive. We see it every day. Just this past week with the missiles being shot from the West Coast over North Korea and landing over in the East Sea.
Right.
So that's just an indication of how things can happen very quickly with very little warning. So we want them to learn, to get involved, and to pay attention, and to understand the importance of their role here in Korea as American airmen.
Great. Listeners, keep on listening. We're going to be back 2 more times during this hour. We're going to keep on talking about these topics. We will be right back with your weather, fuel prices, and exchange rate right after a quick break. You're listening to AFN The Eagle. I'm Specialist Derek Ramey, and we still have 2 guests in here. Who's sitting over here?
Hey, everybody. I'm Lieutenant General Jan-Marc Jouas. I'm the Deputy Commander for U.S. Forces Korea and the Commander of 7th Air Force.
Hey, and I am Chief Master Sergeant Shalina Fry, Command Chief for 7th Air Force.
Great. And we've been talking about readiness this hour. We talked about that last hour, and now we're going to talk about an important part of readiness. They tie into each other, really well. Safety. Safety for all the airmen, for everybody on the peninsula, Army, Navy, whoever you are. Safety is a big deal here. It's a big concern. So what kind of safety are we talking about?
Well, I think safety is on the job and off the job. And, our most important asset, it doesn't matter if you're a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine, is that individual.
Right.
And to ensure that they're not just ready to fight tonight, but that at the end of their tour here, they're ready to go home in one piece.
Yeah.
And we want to send them back to their families in the same shape we got them.
Everybody here is on a remote. This is a short tour, so we don't have a lot of time to get ready. So we have to come here, be ready, but do it safe, be smart, and work within those guidelines.
Absolutely, because if you get an injury, you break your leg or something like that, you're 6-7 months out. That's more than half of your time here, just gone from not being safe. Or, accidents do happen, but safety just really prevents a lot of those. So safety in your job. You were talking about, we were over the break, you were talking about rules. There's always rules. There's always guidelines at the side.
Absolutely. There's occupational rules that we follow. There's safety precautions that we take, things as simple as wearing hearing protection or wearing goggles when you're working on something, wearing protective clothing, protective boots.
Right.
We have left and right lines in terms of that we try to stay between to ensure that nobody gets hurt while we're doing our job, because our job really is to put the hurt on the enemy, not on ourselves.
Right.
Well, that kind of applies to when you're off duty too. You just don't throw away all common sense and all rules and left and right lines and just go out and do whatever you want to do. You really have to apply a little bit of risk management both on duty and off duty.
How important is risk management to actually sit down and do it? Because a lot of the risk management is common sense. So a lot of young soldiers, they sit there and they're listening to risk management and they're like, oh, why do I have to stand here and listen to this? But, you just have to check it twice. You have to make sure that everybody is thinking that. How important is risk management?
Oh, it's very important. And the first thing we have to do, though, is sit back and take a look at what we're being asked to do. We talk about work hard and play hard. So we work hard and we have rules. The maintainers on the airfield, they have guidelines. They have TOs that they have to follow. If you go to personnel and you want to change something about your career, that's guidelines. There's rules for that.
Yeah.
So whenever you're going out to do anything, if it's fun, especially fun, it begins with common sense.
Yeah.
It really does. And so here's what I'm going to do, knowing full well that, work hard, play hard. I'm going to work hard.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to enjoy myself and, reward myself for good work. But then when I'm out there doing that, right, I have to think about at any moment on the peninsula, because our theme is fight tonight, I have to be ready to react, to do whatever I need to do. So then you have to exercise those guidelines, the left and right, when you're playing hard as well. Because we want folks, there's so much to see and do here on the peninsula.
Yeah, absolutely.
There really is. This is a beautiful country, and there's so much to offer and see here. And so we want our airmen to go out and exercise that, but I want them to take that same safety mindset when they leave the base, when they're in their civvies, when they've let their hair down, and exercise that common sense and make good decisions so that they can come back and fight the next night and the next night and the next night, because they are our greatest asset. And without them, there is no air power. Without them, there is no, soldier strong. Without them, there's not that Marine. Without them, there's not that sailor. So we need our folks to just exercise good sense, think about what we're asking them to do, think about what it is that they want to do, and then find that right way to do it.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways is you're not saying at all don't have fun or
Absolutely
have lesser fun.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
not. Go out, have a good time. We encourage it. Get outside that gate. Visit Korea. And you know what? Take someone with you.
Right.
Because frankly, whether you're in the Army, you got a battle buddy, or in the Air Force, and you've got a wingman or whatever service, if you've got someone with you, the likelihood of getting hurt is probably a lot less than if you're out there by yourself.
Yes.
And the truth is, as we mentioned, 90% of our airmen are here on a remote assignment without their families or their friends.
Right.
They're unaccompanied. But while they're here, they still have a family, and that's their Air Force family.
Yeah.
And when they look to the left and look to the right, that's their brothers and sisters out there. And we got to look out for them, just as we would for any other family member. And that's what I would ask our folks to do is, hey, look out for your wingmen out there because they are your Air Force family.
And when you have someone out there, you've always got that backup plan. You've always got if something does happen, you've got someone to bring you back. You twist your ankle, you don't have to find a stick. You got someone to help you get back there. Yeah. So, really take that away and just use that common sense, because you do those risk managements all the time. You go to walk across the street, you look left and right. That's a risk management. Don't think of it as it always has to be this big form that you have to fill out, because people tend to just throw those away. Just use your common sense when you're out there and stay safe. But safety, especially in exercise, especially in the job, what are the roles of the people in charge, the leadership, and what are the roles of the soldiers, the airmen?
Well, I always view as anyone that's in charge, to use your words, whether it's a commander or a senior NCO, whatever it may be, in my view, they're the safety officer.
Yes.
Right.
And the most important thing they can do is set the example and set the tone for a unit. And we all know leadership by example is the best leadership.
Absolutely.
And when you set that tone for that unit, when you define for everyone what left and right is and what's acceptable and what's not, they will follow. And when you find those that may not be adhering to common sense or risk management, and you get them back on course, that people observe that too. So again, it doesn't just have to be the commander or the chief that's doing that. It can be your battle buddy, it can be your wingman, it can be your teammate, whatever word you want to use. We all got to be looking out for one another and making sure that, as I said, we don't get hurt, we're ready to fight tonight, and more importantly, we're ready to go back home to our family in one piece at the end of this assignment.
Great. So stay safe and have fun. How did you put it? It was play hard, play smart, work hard.
Work hard, play hard, but work smart and play smart.
Absolutely. Take that with you. We will be right back later in this hour, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back into the music after a quick break. You're listening to AFN The Eagle. I'm Specialist Derek Ramey, and we are on our last break. We still have two guests sitting over here. Who's sitting over here?
Hey, everybody. It's Lieutenant General Jan-Marc Jouas. I'm the Deputy Commander for U.S. Forces Korea and the Commander of 7th Air Force.
And I am Chief Master Sergeant Shalina Fry, 7th Air Force Command Chief.
And we have been talking about readiness, being ready to fight tonight. We've been talking about safety and how that ties into readiness and just daily life, common sense, getting out there, being safe. Now we're going to talk a little bit about exercises. It's August. There's an exercise coming up. Which exercise is that?
It's Ultra Freedom Guardian.
Great, yeah. So how does readiness and safety tie into these exercises that we do?
Well, I think it brings it full circle because what is exercising all about, right? It's about flexing your muscles and getting stronger. And that's what we do every time we exercise. And it doesn't matter if it's Ultra Freedom Guardian, which is a big strategic and operational level exercise, or if it's just a squad going out or maybe a four-ship of aircraft, a small flight going out there. It's all about improving our ability to do what it is we're here to do, and that is defend the Republic of Korea.
Right. Now, the large exercises and the small exercises, why is it important that people take those so seriously? They take those like they're actually fighting the war when they're out there doing the exercises. Why is that so important?
Well, here's something I've told young pilots many, many times, but I think it applies to anybody in any job, in any service in our military, and that is you have to treat every opportunity when you train or exercise as the last time you're going to do that before you have to do it for real.
Right.
And that's especially true here in Korea because we face an adversary that could attack with very little notice. They've developed their asymmetric capabilities, and we have to be ready to fight tonight. And so you don't know when you're out there in a large exercise or a small exercise if that's not going to be the last time you get to practice before you're out there for real.
Right. And you never want that first time for real to be out there. Yeah. You always want to be good at it when you're in that exercise.
And then to add to that, too, though, an unpracticed plan is just a thought.
Oh, cool.
But if you practice your plan, now you've got an executable scenario, and now you get to play the way you practice, or practice the way you play, and then that it exercises that brain muscle, and then folks are truly ready to go out and do the mission, whatever that is. And again, I bring it back to the Air Force, the fly, fight, and win piece.
Right.
Yeah, and I know sometimes sports analogies get a little tired, but but the fact is, there's a lot of athletes out there. There's a lot of people that may not be athletes, but they like watching athletes, or they may have a favorite team. But we all know that your world championship teams, whether it's Germany in the World Cup, or it's the Seattle Seahawks from the Super Bowl,
New Orleans Saints.
But those teams that get to hoist that trophy, Stanley Cup, whatever it may be at the end of the year, they've practiced. They've come together as a team. It didn't just happen.
No.
And the way they did that was to exercise. And you can call it training, you can call it exercising, but they knew how to play off of one another. They knew their strengths and weaknesses, and they worked on it. And at the end of the season, they were victorious. They were at the top. Well, in our job here, there's only one place we want to finish, and there's never any second place when it comes to combat. And we have to make sure that we're the ones who are victorious. And so whether it's a large exercise or a small exercise, what we're doing is getting ready for that day when we may have to do it for real. And building that teamwork safely and preparing, making sure that we're ready every day is our job.
And that safety really needs to get pushed in these exercises too, because safety doesn't just go away when you're actually out there.
No, it does not. And it causes us to focus, too, though, on what our real capabilities are.
Yeah.
If your job is a quarterback and you can't throw beyond 50 yards, then, what good are you as our quarterback? But now we realize that. But, if you've pitched softball all your life and, you throw your arm out, then maybe this sport is not for you after a certain age. But so just getting back to readiness for an airman or readiness for a soldier, sailor, or Marine, those first 30 days of the career readiness orientation, that's what makes that so critical, to focus and fine-tune those abilities and those capabilities so that we can keep people safe, that we know what your limits are, we know what the limitations are, but we also know what your strengths are.
Right.
And you also know what the mission is.
Yeah, and that's part of our emphasis area for the Career Readiness Orientation Program, because the safety habits that you develop day to day in your peacetime or armistice job, you're going to carry through to that day when you've got live munitions instead of inert munitions.
Yeah.
And we're concerned with collateral damage and fratricide and non-combat losses. Those are all good habit patterns developed through proper risk management that carry over no matter what field you're in.
And I think there's some airmen and soldiers and Marines, everybody here, they can find some excitement in these exercises too, because the opportunity you get in Korea is you get to do your job. You get to do what you signed up to do. The pilots, they get to fly. If you're communications, you're out there with all the equipment, setting up communications. Is there excitement that they can find in those rather than just like dreading the exercise coming up and the restrictions?
No, you're exactly right. Our airmen that come over here get to engage in and do hands-on experiences or have hands-on experiences where back at home station, there may be reading TOs or they may be reading standards or they may be studying for a promotion test, never having put hands on, never having turned a wrench on, never having put together or experienced some of the things that they absolutely get to do here in Korea, and they are excited about it.
Yeah.
And then when they leave Korea, my God, they're better airmen.
And so take this opportunity when you're here, because especially if this is your first place, a lot of first-timers do come here. It's not always going to be like that. You're not always going to get to practice your job. So really listen to people who are over here. They know what they're talking about. They're out here doing these exercises, whatever job you're in. Yeah, don't waste this opportunity.
Yeah, particularly for the new airman or whatever service you're in, you can establish a wonderful foundation for the rest of your career right here. Develop those skills that will make you a better airman, a better NCO, senior NCO, a better officer. And I think that those first 30 days that we have in our Career Readiness Orientation Program will set that foundation for them.
Right. So great. Thank you both for coming in. Is there any last words you'd like to give to everybody out there listening?
Well, I just want to say thank you to all the American servicemen and women that are here in Korea, all 28,500 of us that are a long way from home and doing a very difficult job, but a very, very important job.
Right.
And each and every one of them are relevant to our mission and our partnership and relationship with the Koreans here. And we just have a great opportunity to be ambassadors here, to make that difference, and to be a part of something that is so unique and special. And you don't get to do this every day just anywhere. But we have that opportunity right now to do that. And to echo what the boss said, thank you for your service, because we all had a choice. And we all chose to serve. And not very many people get to do that. So I salute them, I thank them, and I thank their families.
Absolutely. You're making a difference each and every day. Just look around you at South Korea and what it's become.
Yes.
Because Americans have been here side by side with our Korean allies for over 60 years. Just compare that to what's on the other side of the line. You'll know you're making a difference every day.
Great. Thank you both for coming in again. If you want to stay up to date with the 7th Air Force, check out their Facebook page. I looked at it. They definitely keep it up to date. They're definitely posting stuff, and they would respond to you if you post questions or anything on there. So go check that out. That's not just a site that's sitting there. They are managing it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will be right back with your weather, fuel prices, and exchange rate right after this quick break.